Hello and welcome back to the Ladies Wrestling Grio podcast. It is great to be back. Kind of taking, a little bit of a spring break, but we are all the way back. Really excited to cover women's wrestling right now. And of course, we are in the week of WrestleMania, so there's so much happening right now. So much to get excited for in this weekend with the amazing wrestling that will be happening literally everywhere. So this may not be the only episode for this week because there's just so much to go over. But I'm very excited for this episode this week because I really wanted to dig into how awesome the second season of the Women's Wrestling Army promotion was. I mean, everything just stepped up a level, and I didn't even think that was possible because of how great season one was. And that just goes to show the passion that Bobby Cruz and Maria Kanellis have for making this one of the best promotions out there, whether it's a women's promotion or not. It's just one of the best promotions out there now, and the production value just really went up. I love the camera angles that they were using this season. How the backstage interviews start to get a bit more interesting. You see the personalities of the backstage interviewers. Commentary has been on fire for the company. The entrances have really, got their own thing going where you don't need pyro and everything, but you can see that there's even more thought put into how the women are presented with their entrances. And I think the backstage interviews and promos before the matches really have been able to showcase a lot of the personalities of these ladies that we see on Women's Wrestling Army. So everything in the season went up a notch, and it was awesome to see as someone that was fully sold after the first season. But over this time that we've had the second season, I've been making sure that I've been really locking into matches that really grabbed me and made me feel like it was setting the tone for what this season could be. So I wanted to go over that today. I've been keeping an eye on it all season. I've been tempted to talk about season two since its premiere, but I thought it'd be best to just wait until the end of the season and go over some of my favorite matches from the season. And it's so hard because with every match you can see that each woman just leaves it all in the ring. So it was really hard to choose, but I guess I can say the criteria for the matches that I'm going to be discussing were about how it elevated each wrestler with the match, how it really set the tone for either being a main event for each episode, and how it furthered a storyline possibly for the women that were in the match. So that's pretty much the matches that I really wanted to cover. I'm pretty sure that because there's so many great matches, people probably watching this have opinions of other matches that they really loved, and I welcome that because just like I said, every single match from this season has been important to the overall story of what Women's Wrestling Army wants to present. So this is just simply, my opinion, but you won't get a no from me if another match is recommended as must see for this second season. So let's just dig right into it and let's talk about season two. Now, my list is in no particular order, so there really isn't one that ranks higher than the other. So I'm just going to get right into it. The first match that I want to talk about is Masha Slamovich versus Gia Scott from episode 26. And I thought this was such a great match because I feel like it elevated Gia's standing in the company to really show that she belongs there, to be able to go against some of the best in the business right now in the indie scene. And Masha certainly is that. This was a hard-nosed battle that took Gia to her limits and proved that if she wanted to be the best, as she boastfully talks about in the backstage interviews that you see with her for Women's Wrestling Army, she really makes it clear like that everyone needs to understand that she's already the best. So for her to truly prove that and have this level of competition with Masha really proved that one, there's still a lot that she has to overcome, but she is a badass for being able to withstand the entire match with someone like Masha. And it really moves her up the ladder, I feel, with her standing in Women's Wrestling Army. And we had in this match Holly Dead on commentary, and it was just awesome being able to have that type of commentary during this match where Gia was just getting it taken to her. And you can hear the screams from Gia during this match where Masha is just really laying into her. And it actually made Holiday a bit excited to see this beating that Gia was taking. And even with the beating, there were times where Gia was really pulling through and showing that she was trying to stay the course. So I think that that also elevated her as a wrestler in this match. And it really made, which was a bit shocking, especially with Gia's very arrogant character, it made the fans actually have sympathy for her. I'm not saying completely because they were still loving Masha and still cheering for her, but you could see with the right opposition that Gia could really get the fans behind her, even with her arrogant character, because she would be a good wrestler to really face monster powerhouses like Masha in the future and really get the fans behind her. You know, so I thought this was a great match, a great um, a great one to add to the season with showing that you can really have someone that you would not expect to get sympathy for the crowd actually get that reaction from them with having the right type of heel really take it to her. And I think that it with it elevating Gia, it also put in perspective for her that there is some steep competition in Women's Wrestling Army, and she has to come strong if she wants to continue to claim that she is one of the best. So this was a really good match. I really recommend you see if you haven't. So let's move on to the next match. Queen Aminata versus Ashley Vox. Um, the real catch, as Ashley Vox likes to be called, she's really coming into her own and delivering some great promos along with her strong in-ring style in this match. And Queen Aminata is setting herself up in this season specifically as the leader of the women's division. Now, she did do that in season one where she had this epic match with Queen Bee for Valentine, and she set the record that she is the only wrestler in Women's Wrestling Army that can be called queen. And this season, it seemed like she really wanted to make it clear, not even with her saying it, but her mere presence and her in-ring ability, that she is the leader of this women's division. And even with her entrance elevating, where she has someone that puts the crown on her head whenever she comes out. It's a close-up of that sheer confidence on Queen Aminata's face every time she comes into the ring. Going back to what I was saying about these entrances getting a lot better in the second season, I think that the leader of putting all those things together with the great promos, amazing entrance, and obviously a great in-ring skill and really being able to get the crowd going. Queen Aminata has certainly put those pieces together to really be the close to being the head of this division. And I really loved seeing that really set the tone for the match, even the entrance. You have someone like Ashley that's really showing that she can hold her own in her solo career. And this match really helped to display some great technical moves from Ashley that she used to pick apart her opponent and really showed that she has some tricks up her sleeve. And Queen Aminata, of course, is brilliant at using her height advantage and her natural strength to beat the tar out of her opponents. And that's no different than what happened in this match with Ashley. A brutal set of chops and a vicious kick from the other side of the ring to Ashley's shoulder that was struck at the turnbuckle set the tone that Queen Aminata was in control of this match. A fabulous looking DDT seemingly gets Ashley back in the mix, just to have her go blow to blow with Queen Aminata in the Battle of Fist. I really loved that part of the match as well, because it really set the tone that, yes, we can see that Queen Aminata certainly has the strength and height on her side, but Ashley is someone that does not easily let go of a match and feel like she is defeated. She comes back really strong. And the determination to win from Ashley Vox was strong. But Queen Aminata would not let up. Aminata gets the juicy lock in and she wins by submission. So I think this match was great because it's setting the tone that Women's Wrestling Army wants to make new stars in this company. They want to show faces that we know, but they may be moving into a different stage in their career. We know that Ashley Vox is a great tag team performer with her sister, with Sea Stars, but she's kind of really coming into her own as a solo performer. So I thought this was great, and it really set the tone that we have a lot more to see from Ashley on her own. And I think with Queen Aminata, it's just really setting the tone that it's going to take a lot to dethrone Queen Aminata as the queen of this division. So a really great showing. It's really setting that they're trying to have prominent baby faces, I think, too, to really take on a lot of these heels in the company. So that's really good on their end, where we're really seeing who's going to be next to really build up the division. Next, we're going to go into another Queen Aminata match where Queen Aminata faced Kai Lin King. And I really love this because this match was sort of king versus queen. And this was a great match because Queen Aminata in both seasons has been laying out her competition. So to have someone like Kylan come into Women's Wrestling Army and really bring a challenge to Aminata, it really deserved to be a main event. Kylan has really been making her a name for herself on the indie circuit as one of the strongest, most opposing female wrestlers in this business. She really has this really awesome brute strength that you could see on display in this match. And Kylan was unleashing so much onto Queen Aminata. Both women leaving everything in the ring, including their fake eyelashes, which I thought was pretty cool to make it clear they didn't care about how they looked, how the crowd saw them. They just wanted to win. But ultimately in this match, a quick pin got the win for Queen Aminata, but it wasn't without a struggle. It wasn't without having such strong competition where I think for a minute, this match, and this is why I think it was really important for this season, it may have made Queen Aminata feel that now she's really getting that competition that might make her second guess if she might make it out of certain matches with taking the win. So that was very interesting and really showing of how much Queen Aminata might go back and really review how she can really study certain wrestlers like Kylan to make sure that it's never that close again to her possibly losing the match and losing her status as the queen of the division. I really hope that we can see more of Kylan because I thought that this was a great showing and introduction for her in Women's Wrestling Army, especially because she's a big draw with how much of noise that she's making around the wrestling business. So this was a great match for this season. Now we're going to go into the Tasha Steelz Open Challenge against Tootie Lynn and Maserati. So Tasha Stills has been on the top of the mountain in the wrestling business. She has done a phenomenal job in Impact Wrestling, with being champ, with being, to me, one of the strongest talkers. Also in Impact, male or female, she has also really shown that she's um, one of the most impactful wrestlers in Impact. So I love that this challenge was presented by Tasha, because it's almost saying, like, I'm not on this roster. I come in, and when I do, I need strong competition, because honestly, I don't feel like you have anyone that can really stand toe to toe with me. I mean, throughout the first season and a bit of the second season, you see Tasha really mentoring Maserati. She's not necessarily feeling like her presence in Women's Wrestling Army has been used to really show her dominance as a wrestler. She's really been trying to give Maserati that push that she needs to get to the next level. But at the same time, Tasha is an active wrestler, and she wants to make sure that she is always taking it to the limit and seeing how far she can go. So she puts out this open challenge for any woman to come out and face her. And we have Tootie Lynn, who is a major star on the rise. To me, and I will continue to say this every single time I talk about Tootie Lynn, I feel like she is going to be one of the biggest baby faces, stars in wrestling within the next few years. So I was really happy that Tootie answered the call for this open challenge, because I think it's really setting the tone that she will answer any challenge. She's going to make sure that she's putting herself out there to be seen as competition in this company or any company that she happens to wrestle for. And right after that, you see Maserati come out. I don't really think it was surprising to Tasha Stills. I don't think that she was even upset about it. I think that she actually probably was proud of Maserati, because she was seeing that she was taking in everything that Tasha Stills embodies, which is that you seize the moment to be able to put yourself at the top of the food chain in a company. And certainly Maserati did that with trying to prove that I mean, as much as she very much appreciates everything that Tasha Stills did, this is still a wrestling company where you have to scratch and claw to get to the top. And you could certainly see that Tasha is still very hungry to have great competition. So she didn't mind that she didn't get not one, but two people to answer the challenge. And she took it all in stride. And immediately when this match started, you can kind of see, almost like in a predatory way, how both Tootie and Maserati started to circle Tasha, and Tasha didn't have any problem stepping up to the challenge. And both challengers had their valid reasons for wanting to get into this match. And I feel that Tasha just showed, as the match started, that this competition with both women actually helped to boost her confidence and fill her with joy that she would have this level of competition, where she pretty much has to have eyes in the back of her head to keep up with both women. But this is the thing, even during the match, and this is obviously nothing against Maserati or Tootie Lynn, but when you have such an agile, energetic, um, it seems like an endless amount of energy that Tasha Steelz possesses in a match. The stamina is just astounding. It didn't feel like Tasha was in any way uh, compromised in her feeling that she is the best and that she could handle this level of competition, because every time it seemed like they would even try to double team her, she always had a counter. She always had a way to still come out strong. I think that with that, it didn't diminish how you could see the great potential that both Tootie and Maserati had. It was a great showcase to really show how they're going to be really climbing and really trying to be at the top of the women's division, and really understanding that you can't beg for opportunities. You have to go out there and seize that. And you really saw that in this match. It just looked like it was a fun go for Tasha. And even though there were great moments when Maserati and 2D Lynn kind of felt like they were getting their groove in the match, Tasha still is a veteran. And she had to show who the big boss was, and she made Maserati tap to get the win. So I think as a viewer, I'm really excited to see that another thing that you see within Women's Wrestling Army is that you have women that have had a great amount of experience and opportunities in the business to really set themselves up as top tier talent. But they really want to make sure that if they're at the top, then the best of the best has to come up into the business to challenge them, and they willingly take that on. And I think that that's something that is very unique with Tasha Steele's presence in Women's Wrestling Army. She has been able to be at the top of the mountain in Impact, and now she's trying to make sure that there is a pool of talent from other promotions that she can compete with and really feel like there's some good competition there. I think that Tootie and Maserati did a great job of showcasing how far they have come and what they have to offer. So I think that that was why this was a match that I had to put on my list, because it's showing the objective, the unique objective with having wrestlers like Tasha Steeles, having newcomers like Tootie Lynn and Maserati who have really improved by leaps and bounds, but they're still showing there are newcomers who have a lot of promise, and that there are veterans like Tasha Steele who are still actually in their prime that are really wanting to build up some new crop of women to have competition with. So overall, a great match. Let's get into the next one. The Sea Stars versus the Hex. I thought this was a really great match to add because in this season, we did not forget about the tag team division. It's very important, I think, especially when you don't want everyone trying to fight to be a women's champion, a solo women's champion. You can't have, they can have a bit of variety. And there are some really great women's tag team champions that really should be highlighted in the industry. And I think that Women's Wrestling Army is making sure that they're one of those people that are truly endorsing having great teams that have an immense amount of chemistry. They're not just like slapped together and you don't really feel anything about them being a tag team. Tag teams have a great thing that they bring to the table. So I'm really happy that we were able to see that that is still alive and kicking in this season. So to kind of preface this match and give you a backstory, in the episode 31 of this season, you see a promo in this episode where the Hex are bringing up some valid points that even though they like a lot of women that were made into tag teams just for a few matches, they haven't really had any solid tag teams that had the type of synergy that Allison Kay and Marty Bell have. After this, you kind of see Maria Kanellis taking this to the Sea Stars to kind of get them riled up to challenge the Hex, to prove that there are tag teams in this division that weren't just put together just for one match. And certainly the Sea Stars are such a cohesive tag team, and they're obviously well known in the industry, in the wrestling industry, the indie wrestling scene, as one of the best tag teams that you have out there. So I like that immediately Maria heard this. She went to the Sea Stars to really prove that the Hex can have some great tag team competition. And we see that we get this match, and early on, you start to see that Allison Kay thinks that this is just going to be a walk in the park. The Hex is just going to blow through them, and that is not the case. The competition goes back and forth with the both teams having strong offenses, but the Hex really works well to stay active and not let up their competition. And they do that by really isolating the competitors and really trying to wear them out. And I think that that's a big strength for the Hex. They really know how to wear out their opponents. They really know how to make an individual on the the opposing tag team feel like they have nowhere to go, that they just have to battle out to even get back to the turnbuckle where their partner is. And I think that that's so smart, and it really shows the maniacal, analytical part of the Hex, where they're thinking about all these things to really make sure that they're not letting their opponents even get a moment to breathe, and they're really taking it to them. And I really saw that type of brutal, vicious side of Marty Bell, where she was making it clear, I am going to stomp you out. I'm going to claw you out. You are not getting to your partner. I am going to wear you out. And I thought that was awesome to see that type of fire come from Marty Bell, especially because due to Allison Kay's size, her height, she's usually the powerhouse, but you saw this vicious side of Marty in a good way, where she was really showing how important both her and Allison Kay are to the Hex and why they are such a dominant team. You really saw from the Sea Stars how they really work well together, and how they will fight to the death for their other for their tag team, and how you're not going to just bulldoze through them. And you see that because of the unique chemistry that they have as sisters, where they're making sure that at the end of the day, the other one is taken care of. Just like I was saying, Marty Bell was really bringing in some stiff chops and punches to really show that she's not someone to mess with in the match. And Allison Kay really brought in her Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu background to deliver some awesome holds. So this was really, I think, a match to show off, like, look, the tag team division is still here, like, we haven't gone. And I really loved how Ashley Vox was really there for EXO to stop the Hex from getting advantages at times. She really helped throughout the beginning and middle of the match to keep the match open without it just being a quick win for the Hex. But even with that, the Hex was just on their A game in this match, which isn't at normal, but they were really on it, and they were able to take the match. But because of how much the Sea Stars really proved and really reiterated how strong of a tag team they were, both teams did a great job of showing respect to each other at the end, and making it clear that even with the comments that the Hex made about not being able to face strong tag teams recently, that they really enjoyed having this strong match where it wasn't that easy for them to win, and that they had strong competition with the Sea Stars. So that was another reason why this was on my list, because I can see, especially I believe in season 3, that we will see some strong tag team action from the women. And this is near and dear to my heart because I've always been a fan of great tag teams. So I am hoping that we continue to see that in Women's Wrestling Army, because it is much needed. Not everyone can be a heavyweight champion. Honestly, I think that there should be times where you have the equivalent of a light heavyweight championship, maybe like a equivalent of an intercontinental championship for women. Maybe if you have a show a TV title, to have the ability for women to fight for other titles. So this is why I feel that the tag team titles are extremely important. And I think that is very important for Women's Wrestling Army. And it shows great tag team matches like this. So let's get to not the last match, the second to last match that I have on my list. We have Max the Impaler versus Billy Starks. This match was so good, as it usually is when Max the Impaler is in the ring. But I really wanted, because she had great matches in Women's Wrestling Army thus far, Max has had. But I specifically wanted to point out this match because I feel that Max the Impaler is always going to be the immovable object. We know that in every match, that is always made clear. But I think that this was a great showcase for Billy Starks, a young up and coming star in the business, because for someone like Max to be able to thrive, they need proper competition, or someone for the fans to really root for, that has this level of bravery to actually get in the ring with someone like Max. And I think that Billy was the perfect person for them to pick, to go against Max the Impaler and get that type of sympathy, that vulnerability from the fans, where they actually really were rooting for her. And I think that she did a great job of that. And now Billy Starks is a rising star in the indie scene. As I said, on this night, Billy was a lamb that was sent to the slaughter. Throughout this match, Max, like usual, didn't give much room for Billy to get an offense. At some points, there was like a glimmer of hope, but at the end, Max just crushed her for the baby face that she is. And this was a great showing for the fans to really pull out that sympathy. And sometimes you don't see that, because many times you'll see the fans rooting for someone like Max and not really having that pull to want to see that that competitor win. But you didn't see that in that match, and I thought that that was brilliant. That with the bravery, the moxie to keep trying to go on and try to win like Billy was doing, it really pulled the fans in to feel like, even though obviously when we see matches like this, we are in awe of things that Max can do in the ring. Yeah, you want to have someone that you're rooting for when you have someone like Max that is just set out to destroy. So it was really good to see that Women's Wrestling Army is pulling in on having characters that can really get over with the fans, and not have everyone kind of be in this gray area where you don't know if you're going to cheer for them or boo them. To have something as concrete as everyone being on the same page that you want to root for Billy and you certainly want to be terrified of Max was really, really cool to see. So let's get into the last match of this list, and one that I was so happy to see, because this to me is a dream match. Like, if you put on a list, because I know people say that a lot, especially recently, but to me, this was a dream match that I'm so happy that Women's Wrestling Army was able to put together in this season, which is Masha Slamovich versus Janai Kai versus Jordan Blade. I feel like this match was so fitting for this week, this WrestleMania week, where it just seems like every promotion has these phenomenal matches that are must-see TV. And I feel like they really capitalized on making sure that it premiered this week, because with Janai Kai, with Masha Slamovich, and Jordan Blade, they are known on this roster to be some of the hardest hitting women. Women that more than likely you're going to put on your list if you had to, gamble on who is going to win the match. They're usually going to be the ones that come out on top. So to see these women competing after they have become huge powerhouses in the wrestling business over the past 2 years, this was beyond thrilling. And I love how they built up throughout the episode to this match, and how they had each woman before this match even happened kind of give their reasons on why they would come up on top in this match. And this was a part of the season finale for season 2 that had 2 main events. And Jordan Blade comes out with red paint that kind of resembles scars. And I thought that that was really cool that she came out with that, because almost like a mental thing for her to remember, to not forget what she's been through and how that's created scars, but that has actually made her feel like she is unstoppable. So I really love that. I loved her entrance. And then Masha comes out like a freaking predator, ready to join in on the competition and to really see who hits the hardest. Then you have the demon, the kick demon, Janai Kai, coming out, almost slithering to the ring with her trademark grin. And when you see these women all in the ring together, you know that it is going to be a brutal night. So we start out this match with the women kind of circling each other at the beginning and moving around. And Masha is immediately taken out by a kick to the face from Jordan Blade. And immediately Jordan goes to the ground with Janai Kai to get her off her feet, which was really smart. And when Masha is able to get back into the game, she sets to destroy Janai with clotheslines and suplexes. And I just love the tactics that every woman was taking to, and that's how you can tell that they actually did study each other before this match, because every time that one woman kind of got the upper hand in a way, they would come back with something that they knew would help to weaken their usual arsenal. For instance, with Jordan immediately knowing at the beginning of this match that she needed to take out Janai Kai by getting her off her feet. Brilliant work on it. With Masha knowing that one of her strengths is just being able to have strength that really weakens her opponents was really smart as well. So you can really see the work, and I feel it's like more of like the mental work that they did to prepare for this match, to know that they pretty much have to be machines, and they're constantly, because they're three competitors, they constantly have to be on their toes to pinpoint what will weaken their opponent and really go for it. So that was something that was awesome to see. And Jordan and Masha get into it with Blade and a leg lock and suplex that leaves Slamovich out for a bit. And Blade and Kai get into a series of chops, forearm shots, and full on slaps in the middle of this match. And that part is not for the faint of heart. These women were totally bringing it to each other at this time. And I do not wish to be in the ring taking this. They certainly show that they're in a league of their own with the type of brutality that they can all take from each other. And we see a pattern that whenever Masha gets back into the ring, Jordan commences to get her in a submission hold. Jordan knows that that is her strong suit, with taking people out with submissions or with suplexes, and she certainly uses it. She's always staying on her opponents in this match, and you can really see that Jordan is certainly a ring general in every match that she's in, but certainly with this one. And toward the middle of the match, all of the women are worn out, but they will not give up. We even get a chop and kick fest between all three competitors, which was really cool. And Masha takes over after she takes out Jordan for a little bit on the ring, on the ring post, and really tries to get the win, but doesn't, which is very surprising. And the amount of German suplexes that Jordan Blade gives in this match is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, the stamina to be able to just deliver the one by one is a stroke of genius. But with all of the German suplexes that Jordan Blade was able to give, she did not get the win. It was Janai Kai who was able to be victorious with a kick to Jordan Blade to get the win. And in my opinion, Women's Wrestling Army knew what they had with this match, and they were absolutely in the right to have this match close off season 2. Absolutely brilliant work in the ring. Masha Slamovich, Janai Kai, Jordan Blade, they are in a league of their own. Just, I can't speak more highly of their work rate. Like, seriously, they are phenomenal. And I like how this match didn't have to be an Iron Woman match or a 30-minute match. It got to the point where, because their arsenal is so vicious, this match couldn't have lasted forever. It was just about who could endure these type of beatings that they were all receiving in this match. And it was just truly awesome to watch. I wanted more. It was just so good. But it was such a great way to end off such a phenomenal season. And just like I pointed out, you can see with each match, with each competitor, there is the type of booking where they want to make sure that each match matters, that possibly with the way that particular match ended, they can kind of go back and build a story off of it, that they're helping to feed the need of having great tag teams women's wrestling, that they're feeding the need that we need more baby faces for the women in the business, that we need really cool managers too, because we've been seeing that as well. So that's been really awesome. That we need to really have a filter for up and coming talent to be able to feel like they can really build and grow in a company while having very experienced women kind of take them under their wing, to really get some really great promo and promo work in the company, because you've been seeing that a lot where more women in this season were coming out of their shells, become comfortable with talking on the mic. So that was really great too. And seeing the pageantry with the brilliant entrances, the way that they're playing to the camera, even in the ring, you're really starting to see more personality come out of a lot of characters in Women's Wrestling Army. So this has been a brilliant season. I can't speak more highly of it. I really impose that if you have not seen season 2 of Women's Wrestling Army, please check it out. They have highlights every week on their YouTube channel. You can subscribe to brandarmy.com to be able to have Women's Wrestling Army episodes that usually premiere every Sunday. And they also have their full length episodes on ProWrestlingLive.tv. That's usually on Wednesdays when they premiere. But now that season 1 and season 2 are done, you can watch both seasons without any interruption. So I really, really recommend that you get into Women's Wrestling Army if you are not, because more than likely, a lot of wrestlers that you like from other companies, they're performing here and they're having really great matches. So just like I said, if there are any other matches that you really loved from this season or even from season 1, I would love to see your comments on that, because I think that this is a promotion that just really takes advantage of every single moment of TV time that they have, and they make each match matter. So this is the end of this episode of the Ladies Wrestling Grio podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. As we are going into WrestleMania weekend, I am going to have so much inspiration to come up with a great month for April of content. So enjoy this WrestleMania weekend. As we know, WrestleMania weekend has morphed into great matches and events all over the world. So there will be so much to see, and I hope as a wrestling fan you truly enjoy this week. I know I will, and I will see you as we go into April. Bye.